This was recorded at the Media Joint.
This is going a bit gnarly now.
A bit rogue.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what's coming next.
I know, same. I'm like, fuck, I can't believe I'm asking this. That's all right.
Okay.
Will you hot potato my mashed banana?
That is so rogue.
Boy, that's a bit rogue.
Is it even that rogue?
Welcome back to another episode of A Bit Rogue.
Let's go. Just wanted to quickly say thank you guys all for the support.
Yeah, we love
We're
that.
blown away.
Everyone has been giving 5 stars by one person. So it's a good ratio.
Yeah, we love that. And just like all the different countries.
And the
all the
DMs
listens.
as well saying that we're funny is actually like, it feels good. It's nice. It's nice feedback.
Seriously. Well, do you have your info moment of the week, Skye?
My info moment of the week is not like outrageous, but it just like, I don't know, don't fuck with a 90s mum, I reckon. So,
Let's hear it.
Chemist Warehouse is very overstimulating and very overwhelming. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
the aisles
There's
have
a lot going on.
Yeah, the aisles are really squashed together. There's bloody tickets flying around everywhere. They've got signs left, right and centre. Like there's a lot of noise going on visually. When you throw a pram into the mix, it's very stressful, especially at my local one. Like I can't get around. There used to be one aisle I couldn't even get down with the pram. So I used to just not go to a Chemist Warehouse unless I could literally visualize where the product was. But 90% of the time you go in there and you're like, oh, do you know where this is? And they're like, oh. I'm saying, well, thanks a lot. So I'm already really overwhelmed. I had to take Banks in with me because he gave me a fucking wart. I think I got it from maybe a dog or something. So I've got a wart. I need wart off. I'm already fucking nervous that I'm asking the guy like...
I hate asking them things. I
was like, excuse me, where's the wart off? And he repeated it back to me, the prick. He goes, the wart off? Anyway... He then walks me to it. I've got Banks in the pram. He's a pram stander. So, like, he loves cars. He loves driving. So, he holds on to the, the bar and stands up. And I would much rather him be in the pram than run off. He is literally a runner. He's on sprint mode always. So if the pram tipped over, it is a much safer outcome than him getting hit by a car, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
I have told him a million times, sit down, because, you know, might bump your head if you fall out. And you know what? If they don't get it, they don't get it, and they're only going to learn if, you know, something happens. God forbid, though, because I don't want him falling out. But I have my hand on the pram. I'm looking down at the wart off, and I just hear this voice go, is he all right? And I turned around and I go, yeah, he's fine. And this fucking bitch goes to me, well, just letting you know, it's extremely dangerous that he's standing up like that in the pram. And you know what? I just had it up. I had it up to here with her. So I just looked at her dead in the eye and I go, fuck off. Because unless you're paying child support, unless you're fucking offering a hand to me, you don't get a say in what I'm doing with my child.
100%.
I'm sorry, I'm not the type of person to smile and say, thank you so much for that godly advice. Like, it's really going to help me.
Like, no shit.
Yeah, so I just thought, fuck that bitch. And you know what she did? She just turned around and walked away. As she should have in the first place. Mind your damn business.
Yeah, literally.
Anyway, I think I'm just angry girl.
No,
I was ovulating 1 week, bloody raging period mum the next. So... What's your info moment of the week? I hope it's a little bit more like funny. That was not funny.
So mine is actually, it's not about me. It's about a friend. She was dating this guy for like, I don't know, maybe 6 months.
Do I know this person?
Yes, you know this person.
Love it.
And in the middle of the night, I think they had a night out, and she's
sorry.
She's dating this guy.
Oh, she's dating a guy.
She's dating a guy. They have a sleepover. It's at her parents' place. They went out. They went to sleep, and in the middle of the night, he's hanging over the end of her bed saying, something smells like shit. And
Fuck
she was
off.
like, and she's like, what are you talking about? Just come back to bed. And she thought, it's kind of weird. Like, he's in a towel. Like, did you just go have a shower? Like, it's the middle of the night. Like, I don't understand. So they go back to sleep, and she kind of wakes up. She goes, fuck, I wonder what he was talking about, because that's a really weird thing to say in the middle of the night, and he's just had a shower. Like, why did you just have a shower? So her parents' place
so
too.
he thinks he smells.
So she goes to the bathroom, and there's poo smeared on the wall.
Wait, what?
There's poo on the wall, on the light switch. There's shit on the wall of the bathroom.
So like someone's hands touched
yes,
you or something,
yes.
and it's like
Okay.
touch things.
And then she's like, what the fuck? This is really weird. So then she goes to the lounge room and there is a human shit on her parents' white couch.
Wait, what?
Like mixed up with all the games. And I saw the photos of the bathroom and
Wait,
of
I'm
the...
so confused. So there's
So
just
this,
a random
no,
shit.
this guy has shat in her living room,
Oh
in
my
her parents'
God.
living room.
Oh my
Gone to
God.
the bathroom and tried to clean himself up.
No.
And then come back to bed and just been like, oh, something smells like shit. Like, it's really weird. So,
oh my God, so he must have been busting to shit, couldn't find the bathroom and pooed on the fucking couch. No
Yes.
way.
yes, and I saw the photos and it was cooked. If I can find them, I'll post
Wait,
them
so
on
how did
Instagram.
she take photos? So he would have had to see it in broad daylight. Was the next morning she saw it?
I can't exactly remember, but maybe it was on a flash.
So he's had to do the walk of shame.
No,
passes
no,
and
she
shit.
just turned the light on and then took a photo. And then she sent the photo to me and she goes, what should I do? And I was like, tell him and get him to clean it up. She doesn't tell him. She cleans it up herself.
No.
And doesn't even tell her parents or anything. Just cleans it all up while he's asleep and then acted like nothing happened in the morning. I was like, fuck that. I would not have dealt with that. I would have just been like, you shat in my fucking lounge room. Clean it up.
Can I just be honest though? Poor guy. I've been there. No,
But
I
he
haven't
doesn't-
actually.
No, but
I
he didn't know.
pooed on
He
someone's
didn't know
bloody
because
couch,
she never told him. And interesting
I'm
enough,
sorry, but he would know if he pooed on someone's white.
yeah, but he could have
lounge.
just been really belted. I don't know.
No,
And
because when I was pregnant once, when Banks like dropped in my belly, I shit myself.
Nice. And the funniest part about it, 6 months before she was dating another guy who pissed in her bed. I don't know, like I've never had anything like that happen to me.
So she basically, her energy attracts human feces.
Yeah, in her bed.
What the fuck?
Anyways, that's the few moment of the week. So anything else exciting happened this week, Skye?
Well, I'm going to go back to mum life because I don't know if this is spooky or weird and I just feel like it needs to be discussed and I haven't spoken to you about it, so I wanted to hear your thoughts. So Banks is like really, really, really scared of my neighbor. Like he's such a legend. Like he's super chill. Like he's quite literally a stoner. Like he's so friendly and like if I ever needed help, he would be there for me. Banks, every time he sees him, gets like this hyperventilating, extremely scared, like, anyway, they've never had an interaction without me being there. So like I genuinely don't know what it is. And like someone in passing was like, it could have been a past life. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Don't really believe in that shit. Anyway, recently I had music playing and it was on like shuffle, just like must have been a, I don't know, Spotify playlist. And Maps by Maroon 5 came on. I've never really listened to the song ever. And if I had, it wasn't recently.
Yeah.
And Banks starts singing like the in the middle of the song. He's mute, like he doesn't talk yet. He's like he says a few words, but he can't like sing. And
Yeah.
the fact that he was like on beat, it was just like I was like, wow, that's so good. Like good boy. Like I was stoked. And then I texted my parents because I thought, oh, they're probably the only ones that would have had played the song for him. And they're like, no, we've not played the song for him. So I took his ass right over to his dad's house and I'm like, watch this. Watch what happens. I played the song and he did it again. And me and his dad are just standing there like, is this fucking for real? Like, what's going on? And I'm talking about it with people and they're like, could have been from a past life. And I'm like, that's freaky because Maroon 5, they're still alive. And so it's definitely, he could have reincarnated from someone in the past, like within the decade, surely.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon that's so weird?
Yeah, that is weird. Did you ever ask your neighbour if he likes Maroon 5?
No, he's Hungarian. I don't
Okay.
think they fuck with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird. Spooky.
Anyway, anything happened to you this week?
Honestly, I've been fucking boring, but I think it was yesterday. I got a referral, like someone asked to be a referral on Ray, and I was like, fuck yeah, it's one of the girls. We'll definitely accept this. Like, I don't go on the app anymore, but I was like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah. One of the girls is trying to get on it.
Back them.
Went on it, and it was my ex. I was like, bro, I'm not going to fucking accept your referral to a dating app. Like, we're sweet, but like, fuck off.
What a weird prick.
What a weirdo. Like, you could have picked anyone. Why would you pick
Like, maybe
me?
even send a message, be like, hey, this might be a bit fucking weird, but
He's actually done twice, though. Both time I'm like, deny, sorry, bye.
what is wrong with
It's
some
weird,
people?
right?
Yeah, that's not appropriate.
They can't get accepted.
Yeah, did you decline?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Well, very exciting for us.
Very, very
I feel like-
exciting.
I feel
Definitely
like-
for you as well. This
Yeah,
is like
I feel like I'm not going to be myself because I'm going to be so nervous. But we have a big daddy, an OG daddy. We have a guy that owns a yellow skivvy.
welcome, Greg, to A Bit Rogue. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Great to be here.
My favourite yellow wiggle.
There's been a few of us, yeah.
Do you want to give a quick rundown on who you are? So we obviously know that you were a huge part of the Wiggles. You're an OG, but what do you do now? Like, are you still connected with the Wiggles?
I'm still connected as an OG, so every now and then the OGs get back together and do shows and
I
performances.
did actually go to that in December.
In December out at Penrith?
Yeah.
Oh, right, wow, cool.
I actually made my brother come with me because I was like hyped. I was like, everyone's going to be there because like they just had the big premiere and everything, and we got there and like my brother walked in the room and was like, are we meant to be here right now? And I was like, yes. Trust the process. And we stood in the mosh. My brother's like,
really?
this is not good. And I was like, no, my kid would love this if he was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we do sometimes. The OGs get back together and do
Yeah.
those shows for people like yourself who want to relive their childhoods. And apart from that, I work in a charity now because at one of those OG shows a few years back, I had a sudden cardiac arrest and almost died. If it wasn't for people that knew how to do CPR and had access to an AED or defibrillator,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here. So I donate my time to that cause now and try to raise awareness and
Amazing.
save more lives, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Wow.
So that's who I am and what I do.
I'm
Love it.
very excited right now. Okay, so the big thing is obviously you exit the Wiggles. So how does one, like, it's obviously a huge company. How do you say to everyone like, all right, I'm done, I'm leaving? Do they then be like, okay, here's the check, goodbye, we never see you again? Or, you know, obviously with all artists, they get royalties with older songs. Do you get royalties with new songs? Like, how does that all kind of work?
Yeah, well, look, the decision to leave was kind of made for me because I couldn't do what it was that was needed to carry on as a Wiggle at that point in time. So I got quite unwell back in 2006 and the doctors couldn't find what it was.
Okay.
So I had to make the decision, well, you know, what do I do? Because it was a pretty cool time
Yeah.
in life, actually. The Wiggles were riding high and
Yeah.
we were really successful in the US and there was a lot of opportunities and it was like, well, gee, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this anymore. So
Yeah.
I had to make the decision. And at that point in time, I was so unwell. Like I needed a walking stick to get around.
Oh my gosh.
It was really bad.
How old were you then?
34 at that point in time.
Jeez,
And
that's so scary.
it was scary because like some of the things that they were saying it could be were pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Like life-threatening kinds of things. And yeah, so to not know what was going on and to give them clarity to move forward, I just said, well, I'm going to have to call it quits.
Yeah.
Which, you know, everything happens for a reason, right? So I made that decision, had a diagnosis then, and it was this condition called orthostatic intolerance, which is a crazy term, but basically means that my body didn't like being static in an upright position.
Jesus.
So like standing still, a lot of people will have this. If you're, you know, standing like, you know, the Queen's Guards, if they're standing out in the sun,
Yeah.
their blood pools in their legs and they collapse because your blood needs to be circulating around your body,
Right,
right? So
yeah.
that would happen for me.
Yeah.
But it would happen, you know, not standing out in the sun.
Yeah,
for
it would just
hours.
happen.
It would happen. And so I had to deal with that. So leaving the group gave me the chance to do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you say, there was a process to go through and we went through that process, which was hard because it was like severing the umbilical cord.
Yeah.
It
Because
was,
you were kind of like the domino effect.
Well-
kind of. Because once you were gone, then Jeff left or Maya left.
well, no. So this is going back to 2006 when I left, right?
Yeah.
And then, it kind of got a little bit messy after that because Sam came in to replace me.
Yes,
And
that's
then
right.
he left and I came back to replace him then.
Yeah, that was
And that got pretty messy.
way to confuse the kids.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I think when I left, it was very much a matter of, well, look, we've never done this before. We don't know how to replace a Wiggle.
Yeah.
And so that was a process for the guys to have to deal with. And it was something that I didn't have any part in because I was focusing on my health. So,
Yeah.
cut the umbilical cord, and that was it. They went on doing their thing, and that was hard for me because I was watching from outside. And
The success that you kind of
well,
created.
not the success, but just that was my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my life. That's all I knew really from the age of 19 when I started with the Wiggles.
Wow.
And so that was my adult life, and that was, see
Yeah.
you later, and off they go doing what they do. And
Yeah.
I loved doing it, but I couldn't do it anymore. So that was a tough process. But then to go back, and so they asked me back in 2012, and then during that process, Jeff and Murray decided that they would resign from the Wiggles at the end of that year.
Okay.
So I stayed on till the end of that year, and the three of us kind of left together, and that left Anthony there now on his own as the only OG Wiggle currently in the Wiggles.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty interesting story. Like 30-something years have been going, and Anthony's still there traipsing around the world, singing for kids on the stage and having a ball.
Yeah, it is a bit of like a wig out, the fact that like I obviously went to a Wiggle concert when I was like 3, and then I took my son last year. He's probably definitely not old enough, but I was like, we going. Get your backpack. No, yeah, like he wasn't even walking, and I was like, yeah, D-O-R-O. No, anyway, it's weird that's like now I take my child and
Like
it's the same.
generations
It's the
now.
same. One of the same guys.
Yeah.
Like he actually kind of looks pretty similar to what he did when I don't know.
Yeah, he's always looked old. Yeah.
The story is like you guys knew each other from uni and stuff, and like you were studying education.
Yep.
Okay, so because what I was thinking was you guys went from a rock band to child performers.
Well, yeah, 2 of the guys did. So
2.
Anthony and Jeff were in the Cockroaches.
Okay.
Yep. So they were in the Cockroaches. I was actually a fan of the Cockroaches when I was in high school.
Cool.
And that's how I met Anthony and Jeff.
Yeah,
really,
right.
through that connection. Yeah.
So this is going a bit gnarly now.
A bit rogue.
Yeah,
Right,
it is going to
okay.
go rogue.
Here we
so,
go.
if one of my guy mates said to me, like, I have a toddler, so I think maybe I would probably react differently to say Tori if the same friend said the same thing to you. If a guy said to me, I actually want to sing nursery rhymes to kids for a living, I'd be like, are you fucked? Are you all right? Like, I would just be like, what is your intention? Like, what do you get out of that? Do you think it's like, giving back to the community, or you just think this is really cool? Did you get any negative backlash like that, or not really? Because it wasn't really social media times.
Yeah, in that time, I feel like it was.
Well,
probably more
look,
chill.
so when we were studying teaching, it was, so this is back in the early 90s. I think I started uni in 1990. And, back then it was not common for males to be teachers, particularly early childhood teachers. So a very big part of our course for us as males was understanding that there was always going to be that sort of skepticism or cynicism around being in that environment and why you're doing it, which is really odd because it kind of sends that message that men aren't supposed to have a connection with children.
Yeah.
Which is bad.
That's sad.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
As a dad, you love your kids as much as your wife does or the
100%.
mum does, right?
Yeah.
So for this perception to be there, men shouldn't be in this space, we weren't doing it to combat that by no means. We just had a genuine love of educating children and music, and we put the two together. And I think because of that uniqueness, the fact that there weren't a lot of guys doing that, it became, and we certainly had a lot of feedback from mums saying, I'm a single mum, my child doesn't have a great male role model in their life, and I can put the Wiggles on and there's kind of like
that male figure,
a male role model,
Wow.
right? So we did have that kind of positive vibe. We didn't really get any of that negative stuff, which was really
I
cool.
wonder if it
Yeah,
happened
that's good.
in this day and age, though, if there maybe would be.
Well, TikTok's pretty fucked up with the
Yeah.
things people say on there, even to me and you. Like,
Yeah.
I've been told I'm a bloody child abuser because me and my son's dad went a weekend away to the Hunter Valley and he stayed at his grandparents' house.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Lock me up.
TikTok, yeah. TikTok is a lot.
Yeah. The fan base is children,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But when you are a famous person in the 90s and like kind of the early 2000s, the fans are crazy, right? Which means you get subject to crazy scenarios.
Sometimes.
When you were a single man,
which wasn't very long, to be honest with you.
Maybe that's what we're getting to. Did you have mums after shows, anything like that, like literally throw themselves at you or anything like that?
Well, certainly not at me, but one member of the group did.
Yeah, I've heard stories about one member of the group.
Right, one member of the group was single for a lot longer than... Well, actually, no, that's not true. There were two members of the group that were single, and one still is. But there was one in particular who had the mums throw themselves at him. And, look, it was all very innocent, but it was funny. Like,
Yeah, because you can't really let's say Wu-Tang, right? They were known for like the things that they did backstage was absolutely nuts, but they can talk about it because they're like in that rock star scene, but you guys are child performers, so you can't really be like, oh my God, such and such, in the back room of that.
Oh, well, we can't talk about that because it didn't actually happen. So there's none of that sort of...
Yeah, it didn't happen.
No, it didn't, no. I mean,
no, it didn't happen.
No, people would try to come backstage. There was a time that...
Oh my God, like mum groupies. I love this.
Oh, it's funny, yeah. Because we were a children's entertainment group.
Yeah.
We weren't that rock band.
Yeah.
We heard plenty of stories in the US about rock
Yeah.
groups and how they conducted themselves.
Yeah.
But for us, no, it was very different to that. But there was one time we were in Victoria playing. It was a festival, I think, like a kids' festival. I can't remember what it was called. It was...
That's super random though.
Yeah, it was. It was unusual. I think they still do kids' festivals, but this was like one of the first ones ever. And we were backstage waiting to go on, and literally these two women had made their way backstage and kind of propositioned a member of the group, literally as we were about to walk on stage.
Shoot your
It's
shot though. Go
Yeah,
girl.
shoot your shot.
Get it.
It's
Snuck in backstage.
But for us, it was so random because we were there like for the kids, to entertain the kids. They were our audience.
Yeah.
The parents to us were important because they'd bring the kids along, and we wanted to make sure that we were entertaining them.
Yeah.
But we weren't doing it to get attention from the parents.
course.
So it was very weird and random.
Is it weird that obviously you had performed to people like myself, and now as adults when we see, the TikToks you've been doing with the new members and people are like, Greg is fucking sexy. Is that weird for you? Because obviously I was a 3-year-old. I'm like, oh my God, Greg is so cool. And now I'm like, love it. Love what I see.
It is weird because we never foresaw what the Wiggles had in store
Yeah.
when we started.
The longevity of it.
Yeah, but also I guess we never really thought about the fact that our audience would grow up. If you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because one of the interesting things about the Wiggles was, and this is really kind of current right now because Taylor Swift has been going for such a long time and has kept a lot of her fans.
Yeah.
But historically in the music world, you have your fans and you have your demographic, and people come and go within that, right? It's very rare that an artist will carry through their fans over 10, 15
Well, it definitely
years.
helps when you smashed out of the park like a version, winning bloody
Well,
hottest
I
100.
wasn't in that. I don't know.
Weren't you?
No, I wasn't there.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
So yeah, I can't
It
claim.
was definitely Murray was in it.
Murray was there, Anthony and Jeff. I was the only OG that wasn't there, so I can't claim any success from that. No, that was all up to them.
Well, that was pretty cool
Yeah.
though.
It was
'Cause
cool.
Tori and I had a bit of bickering over it. I was like, oh my God, the Wiggles just won hottest 100. And she's like, what the fuck? That is actually so fucked up.
I think a lot of people
And I
felt
was
that
like,
way.
I was
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of real young Australian art artists that are doing their own original songs.
But to be fair, you didn't know that they had been the cockroaches, and it was
I
this
actually didn't know the backstory and stuff. Yeah.
big significance. So I was just
They're
like,
actually real musos,
Yeah, exactly.
I will
didn't know that
literally,
backstory at the time.
I'll fight to the death for Murray, all right?
Oh, good on you. I'll tell him that. Yeah.
Oh my God, please do. Okay, so being on the topic of it was not really a thing for people to do weird stuff backstage. How do you feel now with incorporating social media in the Wiggles? Like there is some stuff on the Wiggles, like TikTok, where it's like, oh, that lands differently with adults because it's not sexualized. But with John, obviously he's come from, is it Justice Crew? He came from?
Justice Crew, yeah.
So when I was in high school, it was like, oh my God, he's so hot. And that was my era. So some of the older mums didn't have that, oh, he's from Justice Crew, he's so hot.
Yeah.
Now with his videos, they're like, John is sexy. He's so
Getting my
hot.
John fix.
Great.
I'm buying my tickets to the Wiggles and I'm going to go see John Bay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, does that shock you at all that it's like, whoa, the Wiggles? Because he's got his bloody skivvy on in some of the videos.
Yeah. Look, it doesn't shock me. I mean, clearly there's a market for John out there.
Yeah.
I think he's aware of that, which is, good credit to him. And I mean, I guess it just comes down to the fact that the Wiggles exists for the kids.
Yeah.
You can't avoid the fact that there's going to be comments made from people associated with kids about what the Wiggles do and how good looking they might be in some cases, And John's a great guy, and I think that comes across in his content. And it's really quite cool to see that the Wiggles can connect with that wider audience. And I think that really does help to keep the brand alive and give it that longevity. Yeah. And I think the main thing about it is that the Wiggles are authentic. What you see is what you get. There's no, we're not actors. I find it quite funny. You mentioned about Wikipedia, right? You had a look at Wikipedia on my page, right? And I think it says Greg Page is an Australian musician,
I think it says
something
about you
or something.
And it also said that you're a straight man. I'm like, why the fuck does it need to say that?
A straight man.
Yeah,
oh no,
straight man.
Straight man. No, so that's talking about that's an old term in theatre. So I was Anthony's.
I read it. I'm like, what the fuck?
I know. Well, look, I am. You're right. They wouldn't need to say that, but. In terms of being the straight man, Anthony would be the comedic guy and I'd be the straight man, like the guy who doesn't get the jokes kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my role in the Wiggles.
Sorry, there's just a generational gap there.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
I read it and I'm like, why the fuck do they need to expose his sexuality like that? Like, anyway, I feel like your roguish moment would have been having a heart attack on stage. Right?
Dropping dead is pretty rogue, yeah.
Yeah, can you, I feel like you're so blasé, not blasé, but you do just say oh, I had a heart attack and then someone helped me. What actually happened? Were there people watching? Was there people in the audience? Are you grateful that it wasn't children and it was adults?
Well, yeah, all of the above. So what happened was we'd just literally finished the last song in an OG show.
Yeah.
We were going to do an encore.
But the show was for the bushfire relief.
It was, yeah. We were raising money for the bushfires that had been through much of the east coast of Australia, and we had about 800 people in the audience, about your age. And, as I was leaving the stage, I literally bent down to pick up my bottle of water and have a drink, and I just collapsed, and that's kind of the last thing I remember.
Wow. So you weren't actually on the stage?
I was literally just
in the wings?
Just in the wings. I think my feet were protruding onto the stage maybe. So people could see from one angle, people could see. And thankfully they could, because one of the girls in the audience, she was there with her mum and her sister, and she said her mum was a GP. And she said, Mum, I think Greg's just collapsed, and, he's got that problem that he left the Wiggles for back in 2006.
Girl.
She said, do you want to go check if he's all right? So Therese, the mum, she came up.
She jumped up on the stage?
I don't know how the hell she got there, to be honest.
They were probably like, the groupie's here.
I don't know how, but she must have been there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So she must have gone up around the stage and behind the curtain.
Wow.
So by that stage, the curtain was closed. She assessed me. Another member of the Wiggles crew came over, and she'd learnt first aid. And so what had happened was I'd had a massive heart attack. And heart attack and cardiac arrest are two different things.
Oh.
Okay? But one can lead to the other. So a heart attack can lead to a cardiac arrest. And that's what happened for me. So my heart attack was so massive that it just stopped my heart. And
Jesus.
So
were you dead?
Clinically, technically, yes. So once your heart stops beating, if nobody does anything, you will die. There's no positive
Greg
outcome.
is a ghost.
Right?
No,
I do sometimes think, am I actually still here? It does go through my head.
Honestly, that is so crazy. I've never actually met someone who has clinically died before.
Well, look, you may have, because they probably say, I had a heart attack, right?
Yeah,
and people don't know the difference. So when you're having a heart attack, your heart is still beating, it's still pumping, so you're still alive, right?
Yeah.
You're in danger and you need to get it fixed. But when you have a cardiac arrest, cardiac means heart and arrest means stop. So your heart is stopped.
Right.
And if somebody doesn't do something within literally minutes, you will die. There's no coming back.
Oh my gosh.
So you've got a window of time where you can be resuscitated. And that's what happened for me. Luckily, there were people around who saw, and they acted. They were able to call 000. They were able to push by doing CPR on my chest, and they were able to shock using an AED. So
they had an AED at the venue.
Yeah, luckily.
Was that common for venues to have AED
It's still
machines?
not all that common, to be honest.
Okay. And is that why you've decided to go down the path of the Heart of Nation?
Raising awareness, with Heart of the Nation, to make sure people know that, when somebody does collapse, if you can't wake them up, call 000 straight away and send for an AED at that point.
Okay.
Then if they're not breathing normally or at all, then start CPR and use the AED as soon as it's available.
So obviously part of the initiative is putting the AED machines around, because now on the beaches, like if you drive up Pittwater Road, like you can see them. It's so hard to miss. They're bright yellow.
Yeah, they're our ones that we put out there with the council.
Yeah, they're bright yellow.
They stand out so people notice them.
Can people like me, so I'm just a random civilian, if I saw someone in a situation where I could use my first aid, am I allowed to use the AED
Anyone
machine?
can. If you don't need to be first aid trained or qualified to use an AED, you don't need to be first aid trained or qualified to do CPR either.
Okay.
Just do something, because like I said, if you don't do anything, that person will not survive. And there is that window of time where if you do something, they can survive. Not always, but they can. And we can increase the survival rate drastically with more people having access to AEDs and being confident to do CPR and use the AED when needed.
Wow. Well, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise that that's happened to you, because obviously now it gives people an opportunity of like essentially survival.
Yeah. And look, you said earlier that I am quite blasé about it because I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah,
right? I literally,
it's probably a good thing.
It is, but for my family, it's not such a good thing because they went through it, right? So my parents were in the audience that night.
Jesus.
And my sister was too. So my parents actually came up onto the stage to see what was wrong, and they didn't know until they got there, and then they, witnessed CPR being done on me, and wondering, was I going to pull through or not? So it was hard for them. It was hard for my wife because she's a cardiac nurse.
No way.
Yeah, so she knows all about cardiac arrests and the
that's
potential.
A bit ironic.
Yeah, the potential. It is very ironic, but she's been great because she's educated me.
Yeah.
So even though she was a cardiac nurse and she'd talk about what she does at work, I didn't know people drop dead. I really didn't. I thought CPR was only used for drownings, right? Because you see it done on the movies and that. And, you see it done in some TV shows and movies when people are in hospital or whatever. But you don't really see it happen out in public a lot.
For sure.
And so I've learned a lot, and hopefully I can share that message now with other people.
So you're the best possible person to cark it in front of people because now you're saving lives and you have an in-house educator.
Yeah, that's true. Well, look, I hope so. I hope that we can save more lives with what we're doing with Heart of the Nation. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's very good. I'm very, very proud, even though I don't know you that well, but I do. I do. I've known you since I was little.
Since you were very little, yes.
So every single guest that comes on the pod, we do a game.
Mm-hmm.
And today's game it's about scenarios, and it's called Would You Romp Bump It or Would You Hot Potato It?
Okay.
Romp Bump It means run it straight. You're keen. It's a big yes.
Okay.
You would do.
Yep.
Hot potato means get out.
Yeah, okay.
Out of there.
I like it. Okay.
Immediately.
Oh, gosh. These games make me nervous.
I'm nervous because I wrote the questions.
Okay. All right. Let's see how we go.
All right. It's 1994 and you're on tour promoting the Yummy Yummy album. Soundcheck is at 7 a.m, but one of the boys suggests it's a good idea to meet in one of their rooms the night before to have a quick belter to celebrate going on tour. Do you romp bump straight over to their room and send it, or do you hot potato the idea and go to bed and be fresh in the morning?
Yeah, hot potato. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, I'm very, very boring like that. I'm out of there.
All right. It's 1995. The Big Red Car album has just won ARIA Award for the Best Children's Album.
Let's go.
You're single. A lady approaches you and says her child is a massive fan and says, will you hot potato my mashed banana? And you respond either you romp bump it straight over to her or you hot potato straight out of her sight.
Well, that's going to be a hot potato too, because 1995, I wasn't married, but I was with someone. So yeah.
I did do my research so that I asked questions that were within your single era.
I get that.
I'm going to have to go back to Wiki and say, actually, the relationship started in 95.
I wasn't married, but I was in the relationship. So no, that was a hot potato moment then, yeah.
All right.
All right, it's 2024. You're at one of the Wiggle concerts because they are currently on tour. You're minding your own business and a kid about 5 says, move over, old man. I'm trying to watch the Wiggles. Do you romp out of his way or do you potato the fuck out of him for the disrespect he doesn't know? You pretty much birthed this concert he's trying to watch.
No, I just romp on. Just respectfully say, yep, you're right. This old man is out of here. This old man went rolling home.
Like, have you ever been at a concert and someone's just like not recognised you because they're too young?
Oh, for sure. I'm sure that would have happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it even used to happen when I was in the Wiggles.
Yeah.
Because you'd be out somewhere in public in your,
and you don't
in
have
your
your skivvy
civvies.
on.
Yeah, and so the mum or the dad would say, oh, look, there's Greg from the Wiggles.
Yeah.
And they're looking around, they're looking for the yellow
Yellow.
skivvy, right?
Yeah.
And you would be standing right there waving to
I
them.
actually have my own moment like that
Do
at
you?
Bella Vista Shops one time. My
Right.
dad was like, there's Greg. And you were my favourite, obviously.
at the Bella
And I
Vista
was like,
Shops,
where's
yeah.
Greg? And then you were like, there. And I was like, Greg is right there.
Well, there you go. See, I'm talking about you.
Yeah,
I probably remember that time.
Yeah, yeah.
That was my local shops, Bella Vista Shops, yeah.
Shout out to the Bella Vista Shops.
Did you grow up out there?
I did until I was like 10, so I can't fully claim it, but I definitely was like, every time mum and dad were like, going to shops, I was like, me too. Might see Greg.
Very cool.
Anyway, I don't think you understand how exciting this was for me. Honestly, when I was younger, I thought, one day I will work with Greg because I'll be maybe Dorothy or something, like I'll be a dancer. I didn't think that I would have you on a podcast.
On your show.
On my show.
On your show.
Even though I did say it might be a bit explicit, and you didn't say, no. It was the quickest yes I've ever seen in my life.
I love the opportunity to talk about what I do these days.
Yeah.
And I know that I've got to talk about the Wiggles, and I know that for younger people, it's an important part of their lives too. So the fact that I can talk about the two things that really have been the biggest part of my life in terms of my professional world, and that people want to hear about it, I'm very keen to do that and spread awareness about cardiac arrest and hopefully helping to save more lives.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
Pleasure.
so much for
Thank
coming.
Thanks for listening to A Bit Rogue, where we uncover the stories of athletes, artists, and celebrities with their most rogue moments. Episodes dropping every Wednesday.